So I've been asked this quite a few times. I mean, I guess a lot of people think I have a little bit of knowledge on what happens in the military. But most people in the military, people in your community actually go to them and ask them, what do you think is going on with Russia and Ukraine? Or what's your opinion? And here's my opinion. So, not trying to get into the politics on why Russia's trying to invade Ukraine. I'm not really too savvy on that, but I was able to see exactly what Putin was doing and is doing. So that whole stalled out period in the very beginning, when Putin was saying that they're doing military exercises and everything like that, even though that he was ramping up around the borders, that was strategical. Obviously, the U.S. noticed that. I mean, you don't amass your numbers around the border after you made threats, to that other country's president. But that was just pretty much the legal way of ramping up and staging, and at any time he could have pulled back and said, we're not going to do this. You see U.S., you see Ukraine, see you guys were just so afraid that we're this bad guy, so he tried to actually stand on that. But then what he did was, when he made his initial push, which a lot of us military officers have gone through this one specific course that you have to war game, which is pretty neat. And we had a scenario similar to this. So what his whole motive was that he pushed in and the U.S. threatened about sanctions. Now, this is where Putin flexed his arms. We kind of forced him to flex his muscle. He was going to do what he was going to do anyway, but we kind of forced his hand in a way because of making these threats. And just like the U.S. states that we don't bend to terrorism, we don't negotiate to terrorists or terrorist threats, that's what Putin did. So when you made these sanction threats to really scare him, what you did is he had to act. He had to act. That's like a man is out on the street with his girlfriend or wife and some guy comes up and slaps her. He has to act. I mean, that was really a brutal way to put it. But just to give you an idea, he has to act. Putin has to act and had to act. That's why he just continued his push and said, you know what, that doesn't bother me. Because if he shows that sanctions will make him cringe or back down, then that's the chokehold that the other nations like the U.S. have on him. And he knows this. So he had to continue. Like I said, with that girlfriend or wife, if you didn't do anything, she's going to turn her back on you. She knows you can't stand up to who you are as a man. Now, second of all, the whole notion of nukes. I put a poll up, about asking about who thinks that we're headed towards or could possibly head towards World War III. And it was 50% said yes, 25% said no, and then you had a maybe, something like that. Well, I believe no. Because first of all, we're not going to put boots on ground. It would take a lot for us to put boots on ground because Ukraine isn't NATO or isn't part of NATO. Second of all, that's another Putin bluff. Another Putin bluff. Because the more he mentions nukes, the more he mentions or he starts showing getting them ready and getting them on high alert, the more we have to sit back and strategize what to do. Meanwhile, he's still pushing forward. That gives him time to push forward. That's clearly what he's doing. Because if he was going to use nukes, he would use them or he wouldn't threaten them. And we're not going to take the chance of him or invoking him to actually take that route. Just like the whole thing of the sanctions. We threatened sanctions. He went ahead and did it. He's threatening nukes. We don't want to take that chance and push him to see what he'll do. And he knows this. So what did he do? He threatens the nukes and keeps pushing forward. He made it to the second biggest city. I mean, God bless and shout out to the Ukrainian people for fighting back. I mean, they're giving a hellish fight to one of the second biggest military or strongest military, not biggest, strongest military in the world. And they're putting up a hell of a fight. But Russia, didn't even put its A team out there. You know, that's like its C team. It's not a mass complete annihilation because Russia could do that. Russia actually wants the Ukraine for itself, so if it destroys it, you're going to take over a destroyed country. But, you know, that's what I believe is going on, you guys. So do I think we're going to go to World War III? No. I think we're going to set back to a more Cold War era. That's what I think, because we're halfway there already. You know, especially when we had the proxy war with Syria. You know, this is going to be another proxy war, so we're back in that time. And on the other side of it, too, it's not going to be a boots on ground. It's going to be a cyber war. The cyber war has already begun. You're just not going to hear about it. The cyber community is actually considered combat arms now because of the cyber warfare. It's a cyber war. So, you know, this is my thoughts on it. You know, God bless, you know, the Ukrainian people, and power to them, and stand up for your own. Peace.